Hey, Jacob here from Firebrand Astrology Tarot and Healing. I've been very quiet for quite a considerable long period of time, and that is really because I'm quite disillusioned and disappointed with spirituality at the moment, and quite a few astrologers and well-known spiritual leaders and people in spiritual communities. I feel in some respects it's kind of lost its way, and it has got very egotistical, very big for its boots. It's all about egos and opinions and who's right and who's wrong, and you hear the word truth bounded about a lot, and it's like a popularity contest. I know on one level many of these people are doing their best and they have good intentions. I think really what precipitated this was the election in November, and these people supporting Donald Trump just left a really bad taste in my mouth, really, in regards to what's going on now. A president who supports Nazis marching through streets saying Jews will not replace us, blacks will not replace us, gays will not replace us. Seriously? That's spiritual? That's spirituality? Racism, xenophobia, homophobia? And all this making America great, and people who are on welfare are sponges, and immigrants are sponges and dirty, and all of these things. It's not spiritual. It's not spiritual at all. Nowhere near spiritual. The ascended masters, Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and all of these people would not behave that way. They would not say those things. They would not do those things. Jesus fed the 5,000. He didn't fucking ask them, drug test them first, or ask them to prove that they were really poor and doing everything they can not to be poor. Did he? No, he fed them. He threw the moneylenders out of the temple. The moneylenders, the banks, the moneylenders representing capitalism and corporatism. He threw them out of the temples and said that it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. That you spend time with beggars and thieves and sex workers. What we're seeing is low vibrational people, and there's all this whole thing at the moment about high vibrating people and low vibrating people. We all come onto this planet with different lessons, and sometimes these people you consider of low fucking vibration have chosen really, really difficult lessons. Most of you are predominantly white, heterosexual, privileged, and yet you judge people. Many of you are married, don't have to work because your husband supports you, wealthy enough to afford $400, $500, $600 for readings and stuff like that. I'm not having a go at you, and I'm not anti-wealth. This is a reality check here. And you judge people having a low vibration, and you won't go anywhere near these people, spend time with these people, because they vibrate on a low vibration. And then when I say that, I'm accused of saying that I'm advocating you support narcissists and stuff like that, and that's another term that's bounded about an awful lot. Narcissists, basically, to the majority of females who are spiritual, every man on the planet is a fucking narcissist, and a lot of this is about you and where you're coming from and your victimhood and being in victimhood. Oh, I'm a victim, and then in the other breath you don't want to spend time around low vibrational people because they might bring your vibration down. Jesus didn't do that. Jesus spent time with people who were considered low vibration. He didn't worry about his vibration being brought down. No, why not? Because he sat and he listened. He didn't actually have to hook into their stories and feel responsible for them all their stories. He just showed love and compassion and empathy and understanding and regard and respect and listened to them with his heart open, with nothing but love for these people, not rejecting them and judging them because they're low vibration. And then the whole thing about if you eat meat, you're low vibration. If you do this, you're fucking low vibration. And I know what's coming. Sooner or later, you're going to be saying that lesbian and gay people are of low vibration. I can see it already. I can see a lot of homophobia, underlying homophobia and heterosis in the spiritual community. You know, all the sacred relationships are male, female, and all of you, whenever you talk about relationships, you talk about heterosexual relationships. You never talk about lesbian and gay relationships, transgendered identity, or stuff like that. You know, and this whole thing about this whole low vibration, high vibration thing. Yeah, you might be vibrating high because you've not had a lot of fucking challenges in your life. You've not had to face a lot of difficulties because that's what you chose to do in this lifetime. You chose that lifetime. Whereas other people, you know, you're doing basic maths and they're doing fucking advanced quantum fucking physics. You know, really difficult lessons, okay? And, you know, I will use myself as an example here. I learned one of my lessons, apart from one was to do stuff with the LGBT community, you know, was self-love. Now, I wasn't given a lesson of self-love and coming to a family that showed me love, and mum and dad and brothers and sisters and uncles and aunties and loads of people around me showing me love. No, I came into a family where the dad didn't want me, married out under duress to a mother who had significant mental health issues, and I grew up in the care system. I didn't experience a lot of love. In fact, the opposite. You know, so to learn that lesson of self-love, there were lots of challenges and barriers put in my way to learn that lesson, to make it much more difficult. You know, it's like, you know, it's not like doing the 100-yard walk. It's doing the 1,000-mile walk with knives in your legs and £1 million on your back. You know, and people throwing things at you, and it raining really hard and lightning going off. You know, and I'm not whining or whinging. I'm giving you an example. Okay, you know. So I've had to learn self-love under very difficult circumstances. Yeah. Because of the way I present myself sometimes, I'm considered of low fucking vibration. You know, despite the fact that in my life I go out and I help people and I do voluntary work, and I have done voluntary work for 25 fucking years, you know, in my community, helping people and doing things, advocating and fighting for rights and fighting for equality and teaching people about equality and doing all of these things, yeah, which I consider reasonable, high fucking vibration, you know. And for me, you know, spirituality isn't about fucking going to yoga and how many minutes you meditate every day and how many times you say love and light and, you know, how vegan you are or any of these things. It's how you are in your day-to-day life. It's what you do in your day-to-day life. It's how you treat people. It's how you treat yourself. It's how you treat people. So how you treat people with love and respect and compassion and empathy and understanding and all of those things. It's about going out into the real world, because many people don't. They're sheltered in their little bubbles. It's going out into the real world and experiencing reality on planet Earth, where there's poverty and homophobia and racism and sexism and violence and all of these things, you know. True spirituality is going out and being able to show compassion and love and understanding for people, you know, and to spend time with them, to listen to what they have to say, to understand where they're coming from. You don't have to offer advice, you don't have to do anything. You just have to show that you understand and that you empathize, you know. And yeah, this is a little bit ranty, but this is what's in my heart. And for some reason today, after the eclipses and all of that, I feel compelled to speak my truth and share this lesson, share this, my learnings really. It's not the truth, it's my truth, it's how I see things, it's what I'm getting. I'm feeling compelled to say this to you today, but there's a lot of cloudiness, confusion, mist in the spiritual community. It's very murky. People are obsessed with things like signs. I saw 11:11. Well, if you've got a digital clock that's not 24 hours, you're going to see it twice a day. Like you're going to see 2:22 twice a day, or you're going to see it once a day. People are always forever looking out for signs, and everything has to be a sign. Everything has to be a sign. The spiritual masters and highly evolved spiritual beings didn't just get signs every 26 times a day. They had to go into the fucking desert for 3 years before anything happened. And you think you're going to get messages all the time. Well, we do sometimes get messages all the time. Oh no, we don't. We don't. I'm sorry, we don't. It's called free will. We're given free will, and the angels and our star beings or helpers or spirit guides or whatever you want to call them, whatever resonates with you, will help us out from time to time when we really need it. If they were forever giving us signs and forever helping us out, then what would we learn? How would we learn our lessons on earth? Huh? It'd be like walking into the exam and the answers are there. Already filled in. What would be the point? There wouldn't be, would there? No. So I'm sorry. Every time you see 11:11, it's not a sign. It's 11 minutes past 11. Okay. Every time you see a feather or a certain type of animal, it's not always a sign. On occasions, it might be. So I found a feather the other day. Now the feather was in my plant pot. In the ground. In the plant plot, like that way, in the ground. So a coincidence of that happening is unlikely to happen. And twice in the period of a week, May last year, I found a bird that had flown into a window and was stunned twice. So that was some kind of sign, but not everything is a sign. So please take what I've said with an open heart. I'm not having a go and I'm not judging you. I just feel that as a kick-ass fucking Aries with Gemini rising and a Mars in bloody Sagittarius, that this needs to be said and this message needs to be shared with people in some way. We need to really be less focused on the ego trip of being spiritual and this whole thing of, well, we're better than other people because we are spiritual, we're somehow more evolved or whatever, because we're not. We're still people, we're still human beings, we're still here, learning human lessons, we still fuck up, and stuff like that. So, love and best wishes to you.